welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato, and we also have Apple Zax in the building, Zach Markham. You will notice that our good friend Justin Sandoval, Sandy, is not with us tonight. He is down in the great state of Florida on a vacation. So have fun, Sandy. We're all really jealous of you.
Yeah.
Florida. I mean, not really. I don't really like Florida. But, hey, if you're down to party in Florida, good for you. So let's see. What are we doing here? Oh, yeah, we're talking about She-Hulk.
Yep.
Sorry, we got 3 pods tonight, and I'm tired. So She-Hulk episode number 8. We are almost done with She-Hulk.
Yep.
It is almost finally over, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about episode 8 tonight, which is called Ribbit and Rip It.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do it. Thanks to all of our listeners, everyone who's watching. Please subscribe wherever you are taking in this podcast. Please leave us a comment if you're on YouTube. Leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Google, something like that. All those things help us out a lot, okay? Fellas, let's do it. Here's your spoiler warning to everybody who's listening. It is time to review episode 8. So, what you guys think?
To be honest with you, man, I'm kind of pissed.
Kind of pissed?
Yeah, dude, I'm kind of pissed.
Tell me more.
So this episode was fantastic.
Yes,
yeah, it was great. Like all the build up and everything. It finally comes to like a nice close right before the finale. But like all the episodes like prior to this just seem pointless. Like just completely pointless. Like there was a lot of stuff that they could have like done without, in my opinion. So like the build up was just, I don't know, it was unnecessary for me.
Yeah, I do feel like they kind of dragged out the middle of the season a little bit, to where there was a lot of stuff that was just kind of there. I mean, I feel like I probably am at the moment the most like the least disappointed out of like the group at the moment, because I made that around episode 3. I really made, or 3 or 4. I made this switch, and it was just like, just watch the show, understanding that this may not make a huge impact into the MCU.
Yeah, which
like this is just going to be, just think of it as a ride about a lawyer who develops superpowers. So that's kind of how I just saw it. I feel like in a lot of ways, that's what Marvel told it was going to be, and just understanding that this it's going to be a plot that doesn't necessarily move the MCU timeline a whole lot forward.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about that a lot over the last few weeks, so we're going to try, especially because we did enjoy this episode, we are actually going to try to be positive.
We are going to be positive.
Yeah.
There's going to be some positive highlights in
even Sandy, he's not here, but he was like, man, he's like, finally, great episode.
Yes.
Just what we've wanted the whole time.
Yep.
And I wonder how much of it has to do with the fact that we got Daredevil.
Yes.
We did.
Yes, that was amazing. Like when they showed the courtroom and Jennifer was sitting on her side with Leapfrog right next to her, and then the designer was sitting on the other side, and there was Luke Jacobson. That there was no lawyer there, and I just like
you had a feeling.
I just do. Like I was like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I was just like, it was amazing. Just like. It told us without telling us, and that was the awesome part about it. It was like, like you as a fan of the Marvel universe, and understanding that that he's gonna eventually show up, and that it was like it was, it just like it was a great way to just show it without showing it,
for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. So you get him. And he cracks off some jokes, so we get that dry humor that we got in the Netflix series and everything. So he finally makes an appearance, and you could just tell that he's like his lawyer skills like top. Jennifer Walters and everything.
Yes, yeah.
So like she's never heard of him.
No,
that was
again across the country.
Yeah.
Well, across the country, and the type of lawyer he isn't exactly like in general. 2 types of lawyers get names. You either get a name as a big time hotshot defense lawyer, or if you're like in a very high a very high government position. Like the position, what he does is like the thankless jobs, the pro bono work, a lot of that kind of stuff. So like no one's gonna, even in New York, people aren't gonna really know who he is.
Right. Yeah. So it was cool seeing him in the courtroom.
Yep.
Yes.
That was awesome. Yeah. And she is just cheesing over him the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of the fourth wall breaks.
Yes.
Yep.
I think one time she was like, "Wow, he's really doing it for me."
Yes.
Yeah.
You could tell she was head over heels, man.
Yeah. It was really funny to watch and everything. And then
it was just cool because it was like it was very parallel feelings, because that's how we were. Because I think She-Hulk, the creators knew that's how the fans were going to feel when they saw him as well. So it created this situation where like it created this extra connection with She-Hulk as a character, because you see her cheesing over him, and wow, we were doing the very same thing and being just like fawning over the fact that he was in the shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it was good. All right. Well, we do have a tradition here on the Royal Geek Podcast. We will spend a lot more time talking about Daredevil. We're going to spend a lot more time, talking about this episode, which, again, we really enjoyed. But we have a tradition. Every time for these Marvel shows, when we get, that we come to the penultimate episode, and we're doing the review, we always like to play a little game of buy or sell.
Yep.
Before, going into the finale. So we're going to play that game right now. I'm going to make a statement. You guys are going to either buy it or sell it. Let's see how this goes. So speaking of Daredevil, buy or sell, we will see Daredevil in the finale.
Sell.
yeah, I'm still that.
Yeah, I think I'm selling it too.
Yeah.
He said he's going back to New York, and I think his flight left the next morning, or definitely midday at least.
I think he has to get ready for his new show.
Yeah.
He does. Okay. How about this? We will get the Hulk King in the finale. In the flesh.
I think we've already seen him.
Oh.
I'll buy that. Yeah, I'll buy that. I feel like that's something we need to see.
It
might be like an end credit scene.
Yeah.
Real quickly, what do you mean there?
I think it's Todd.
You think it's Todd?
I think it's Todd.
Which one's Todd?
Todd is the really creepy guy.
The creepy guy.
Yeah,
who has the Wakandan spear?
Yeah, the Hulk fetish.
That's cool.
Okay.
I think it's Todd.
Okay.
Like, I think with the stuff that he's been saying, he talked about like her being a specimen.
He's more of a collector than a threat, maybe.
Potentially, maybe he just wanted her blood because he wanted her blood. I mean, some of that. But he was at the event. There was the person that gets picked up by her, but you never see him get unmasked.
It did look like Todd.
Yeah, so, like, I think there's a possibility that it's Todd is the actual Hulk King.
Look at Shimado. Okay. Okay. All right, next one. Abomination will appear in the finale. Or you could say Blonsky.
I'll buy it.
You think so?
I think he'll show up one more time.
As Blonsky or Abomination?
I think it's both.
Wow. Okay.
I'll sell that.
So
yeah, I think that's.
You don't think he's coming at all?
Yeah, I don't think he's coming.
I feel like the way that they have handled, like, She-Hulk's action scenes.
Yeah.
It would almost feel like, I know Abomination is like a Hulk or whatever, or a type of Hulk or whatever, but it just feels like everything he's in just feels way more over the top, violent.
Yeah.
And hers just seems more, not that she's not strong, it's just more
controlled.
Yeah, more controlled.
Yeah.
It just, the stakes don't ever feel high, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
With her, like it just, she is, to me, she's never been in danger yet.
No.
Like, she really hasn't.
No.
So, which is fine, not trying to get critical. But anyways, that's why I feel like if Abomination came out, it would feel a little, unless something happens that we don't know about, which would happen in the finale. As of right now, that's how I feel. So
yeah.
Okay. How about this? The Superpowered Men, the group of guys in the retreat center with Blonsky. Let's buy or sell that at least one of them will show up again in the finale.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Since I said Blonsky's going to show up, I'll say that.
What if they all showed up to save her somehow? Some stupid,
like a team up. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like in Hawkeye when all those normal people helped him in the LARPing event. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, he doesn't need any of you.
No.
I could see something happening with, like, she doesn't actually need help, but they come and, save her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All right. How about this? Bruce, or the Hulk himself, will appear in the finale.
Do you mean like on universe or like?
Ooh, no, we'll just see him.
Yeah.
Buy or sell, we will see him in the finale.
Gosh. I'll buy it, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere near Earth. We might see like a little something of him off.
Video file.
Yeah. I'll buy that as well. If I had to predict it, it would be like him checking his phone and like getting all like the messages and everything from Jen.
Well, I could just see them just showing him like showing up on Sakar.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
and that like being like just to say
like that's the post-credit
like, this
scene.
is where he's going.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Okay, that's good. How about this? Wong will appear in the finale. A lot of appearances in this buy or sell.
I'll sell Wong.
Wongers? How about you, Marco?
That's a tough one.
Wongers.
I'm gonna sell it. Yeah, I'm gonna sell it.
All right. Well, another appearance, but different. We will get a cameo of a different character who has yet to be in She-Hulk to show up in the finale.
I'm gonna sell since I already said that I think the Hulk King has shown up already.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna say that we've met the characters we're gonna meet.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, you think we're gonna get another cameo?
I think we're gonna get another cameo, and I think it's gonna have to do with the Thunderbolts.
Oh
yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Sweet.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, only two more. Jen will have a significant loss in the finale, i.e. like a death of a friend or a loved one. Like,
sell.
I'll sell that.
Okay.
Yeah. The show's been too goofy for that.
Yeah, like I just don't feel like the emotional toll would fit into the feeling that they're going for.
No,
right
you're
now.
right. You're right.
And I just don't think it would work well with it if they did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think y'all are right, but I would argue that like she needs something like that. Like her identity crisis to me isn't enough for me as a fan to like buy in fully, but that's okay. Okay, last one. Marvel will land a finale with She-Hulk. It'll be good.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I think they for what it is, wrapping up what it is, I think it'll be all right. I mean, of course, there's always the fact that it's a Marvel show and they have not had a great record for it. But I don't know how great the finale would be, but I think it'll be an all right landing for how they've set themselves up.
Okay.
I'll buy it. I think that just with this series, there's been like a lot of like negatives and everything, like with the fans, even with myself and like some of you guys,
stupid podcasters who hate the show.
Yeah. So like I wouldn't say that Marvel would go as far as to like just dropping or sabotaging like a show like She-Hulk. I think they know what they're doing, and I think they're gonna, because of like the lack of tension, everything, and the lack of storytelling that we got in the first few episodes. I think they're really gonna stick it like with the landing and with the finale and everything. Yeah. So I think there's gonna be a lot of depth to that, like once we get towards like the end part of that episode or however the episode goes. So
I mean, really, what you need to have a successful ending here would be she somehow faces off against whoever's the Hulk King. She retrieves her specimen. Like if she ends up with her specimen, or at the very least beats up, or kind of faces off against whoever the Hulk King is, and that'll be it.
Yeah,
that's all you really need to do for the finale right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, let's talk about this episode some more. Again, we got Daredevil pretty early on. Again, at first it starts out seeming like it's just going to be another lawyer story, another her defending a client that's annoying her, which has been literally most of this show.
Yeah.
Daredevil shows up. He's awesome. And then the scene at the bar was pretty cool, afterwards where he buys her a drink.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. Like he sends her over a green drink with it's
Appletini, right?
Appletini,
yes. Which is kind of an interesting, like, foreshadowing of kind of what happens later on, because you see like a green drink with a red cherry inside of it, which kind of implies of what they ended up doing later, since red is generally the color that's associated with Daredevil. So, you know, it's I felt like that was kind of some foreshadowing, or at least a very
or just a cute drink.
I mean, I think it's legitimately a foreshadowing of, at the very least, his character on the red cherry, you know, and the green of her.
Sure.
Maybe not so much of what they end up doing, but I think it's legitimately a, you know, foreshadowing of their characters.
Yeah. Just their whole interaction. I mean, you know, even when they're like talking about, you know, they're at the lily pad, which was hilarious.
Yes.
He called it his super secret.
A neon sign.
Yeah. Just massive lily
literally
pad.
says lily pad.
Oh my gosh. This guy is such a tool. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude,
terrible.
yeah. Just a wannabe superhero.
I mean, I do think, although we saw a lot of stuff, I think there was a lot of, like, it was good for her because it showed her, it was really important to have him there because she learned a lot about the balancing act of being a superhero and being a person in this world. Like, she learned a lot about the whole situation with, like when he talked to her about what the role of her being a lawyer is in being the superpower world, where you're in a unique position to where anything inside the law you can do as a lawyer and get it right. Anything that the law cannot take care of or refuses to take care of, you can take care
with
of
your own hands.
as on the outside and learn that kind of stuff. So I think that was very important for her to learn that perspective about that, and just like her learning more about how you know, being a superhero and having a secret identity and protecting things like that. I think one of the huge drops is actually the fact that they're talking about the Sokovia Accords being repealed.
Yeah.
Like, that was just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, the Sokovia Accords have been repealed.
yes.
So, yeah, I wonder what does that mean for just the Marvel world now?
I mean, I think it just... It's an interesting idea because I think
Wild
it means
Wild West, right? I mean, if you're superpowered, you can.
I mean, yeah, I think it kind of means you're a little more. You can protect your own identities a little bit better than you would have been able to earlier. I think.
Yeah.
You know, it was a very. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like this very almost patriotic movement for what. It was almost a way of, you know, showing appreciation for what the Avengers did during Endgame.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense of, like, they repeal that because that was the world's recognition of their sacrifice in those moments to get the people, you know, have the population back.
Totally. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like in passing too. Like, he says it to the judge, and it's like, oh, I'm over there watching with my wife, and I'm like, okay, well. That's news to me. Didn't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of depth, like, with that line, but then at the same time, like, it was a throwaway line. Like, it was a nice little Easter egg that they dropped in there for us. So
yes, yeah, it definitely makes you think about what, you know, potential implications of that would mean.
Yeah. We'll be hearing more about that.
But yeah, and I think it really, like, you know, brought to light some of the stuff, because I think up until this point, a lot of what She-Hulk is kind of taken everything that she is as She-Hulk for granted in ways, like in the sense of, like, she feels like, oh, since her identity is already out there and she, you know, she's almost indestructible physically, she hasn't really thought about how people can get at her in other ways. And at the end of the episode, we really get to see, you know, not only that, but also how she can be perceived by people with her overreacting to things, you know, like, she's like, anytime she does anything physical against anyone, it can be perceived as being an aggressive action by someone who's out of control, to the point to where, you know, it'd be almost like waving a gun around, you know, in a very real way, because she is a, you know, a deadly weapon in her own right.
Yeah. And I think, like, that she did a very good job, like, portraying that, like, with that end scene, like, she was upset, like, she was in a rage. She was raging out. So, you know, she was causing, like, all this destruction, and everything going around, like, rightfully so. But then, you know, like, what's the organization that
Damage Control?
Yeah, Damage Control. I forgot that, but yeah, where Damage Control had to get involved, and like who knows where it's going to go from there. So
yeah, I mean, I think it was the first time she really got to see the way that people see her.
Correct,
like or can see her
right.
in her worst moments,
like what Bruce was talking about, like in that first episode.
Yeah,
like,
you really got to finally see that, because up until this point, she had thrown some people around, and she had kind of fought Titania a little bit, but it was mainly like even in that moment, it wasn't about, they weren't mad at her because she was fighting Titania. They were mad at her because she was ruining their wedding.
Yeah,
or like it had nothing to do, like it wasn't like you seeing a monster, which is really what the end they were trying to show that moment. It was like
Yep.
when you see the monster show up, or in the movie, and then everybody looks at them, and you can tell that everybody sees them as a monster. They're not a human.
That's right. Yeah. So I do wonder. I mean, and just like she was just so embarrassed, right? Like she gets this award, which, by the way,
which was kind of like,
by the way,
even that was like. It was a very like interesting way of doing it, and it was like, and it was very much set up purposefully, so like a pageant.
Yes,
like it was,
let's parade all our women lawyers up here,
and then like give them this like answer, like have them answer this,
pass the microphone down,
this question of, what's it like to be a female lawyer, and it's like it's very much like. It very much reminded me of
like a beauty pageant.
Yeah, like a beauty pageant. Very much so. Like the idea, what would you do to solve world hunger? Like that question. Like it's just passed down, to every single like.
Yeah, Mallory said, "What's it like?" She's like, "Twice the work, half the pay."
And you have to answer stupid
questions like, "What's it like to be a woman lawyer or whatever?"
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do think it's it was definitely kind of jabbing at the culture, and like you kind of assume in those situations that you're the only recipient. Like, I mean, maybe it's a little naive to believe that you would be that, but I mean, if you see a word female lawyer of the year, you kind of don't think it's going to be plural.
Yeah, you think right.
You think it's going to be singular because it does say lawyers.
Right.
But so it was definitely interesting to see that, and you could just the way that it played out, and like it was a really in that moment, and then of course the way that she's exposed, and kind of the idea of the embarrassment that as a female by cultures, but by the way our culture is set up, how they should feel embarrassed by having that out there, just because of the fact that it is. I mean, they call her. I believe they call her a slut, correct? Yeah. And just for the fact that she was having sex with a person, not because like it wasn't like she was. There was anything other about it that was like super weird about it, or that she was in a relationship with somebody else, or that the person that she was sleeping with was in a relationship with somebody else. It was just because of the literal fact that she was having sex. Yeah. And they really drove in those moments about like the difference between the way that a man is perceived. It was almost like they were doubling down, and they were like, this is how a man is perceived as a lawyer, and showing how a woman is perceived as a lawyer. And then they go on to the point of, this is what a woman is perceived as a human being. And then, in a very much way of, if it was a man, you just be like, okay, I mean, yeah, that's weird, but it's not like either one of them is in a relationship. You wouldn't call a man a slut in that situation, because they're just two consensual human beings, going at it.
Yeah.
So it's a very, it just really like drives home the fact that there's kind of this double standard about the way that women and men are treated. And I think that's really like she even says at the beginning of the series about all the stuff that she has to go through as a woman that's different than as a man, and that's like kind of her power in a way.
Yeah, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure that sexism exists obviously in a lot of professions, but there's something about like law, like lawyers, where it even feels worse from how I perceive it.
I think it's partially because it's literally there's so much in law, for especially in the past, that was literally the guidelines that held back women in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like they were the people that created the guidelines that held back women, you know? So you're in the profession that limited you. So it kind of has that built-in idea of that it's going to have that, you know, ability to build down. And it's almost like a power struggle too, because if then you also have the ability to create the laws, then you're giving power to women in those moments because they now have the ability to set precedent, which is very important in law. If you can set precedent for something, then you have the power over that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the undertones of sexism throughout the show, you know, and sometimes they haven't even been undertones.
No,
it's just been out,
just straight up in
just
your
straight
face.
up. Yeah. Even dropping the slut word like that was so like, it just, you know, it's just like it's an easy thing for the villain to do.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
Like it was just an easy thing for them to say.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, and it would be in that moment, it'd be culturally acceptable in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Too. It's not even like something super, generally in our culture that would be seen as something as super out of bounds. Really.
Yeah.
You know.
Not that anyone on this podcast would view her that way.
No.
But it's just, I mean, attacking and again, I'm still trying to figure out, like, so the Hulk King, you know, he's got death threats for her on Intelligentsia, and again, a little bit of critique here, but just getting into the inspiration of the villain, again, we haven't overtly seen who this villain is.
Yeah.
We haven't seen their inspiration. We haven't seen why this person hates She-Hulk.
No.
So it's a little frustrating is what I'm getting at. Go ahead.
If I had to guess, like with what you said earlier, Shimon, about it being Todd, that would make a lot of sense.
Yes.
Like a lot of failed dates. Like this is probably going to be somebody who has like some sort of romantic feelings or some sort of sexual attraction to She-Hulk and knows that that person will never be with She-Hulk. So now like the only thing he can do is like bring her
embarrass
down.
her.
Yeah, embarrass her, bring her down.
I think the idea is he is like if it is Todd or someone in a similar vein as Todd, the idea is, and part of the reason why they don't show him specifically on screen as that character is because he is supposed to be just poking her. He wants her to overreact. It isn't about
which she does
physically being there and physically defeating her. Right. It is about making her defeat herself. That is the idea that I feel like that Intelligentsia or the Hulk King is going for, because it is way more damning for her to do it like as something that almost seems sort of unprovoked, although it's very much so like provoked, but it's not physically provoked. Like if someone had come up and punched her in the face, you can be like
at the wedding.
Yes, like at the wedding, you can very much be like, okay, yes, I understand that. She was physically attacked.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a much more gray area. It is much more. People are much less forgiving when it is something that is non-physical.
More clever.
Yes, yeah, more clever, or just less like tangible. Like it's a video, so like you know, even though it was extremely personal, it was extremely hateful. What it was. It's harder for people to grasp that idea when it's not a physical action.
Yeah.
Well said. Mm-hmm. All right, boys. What else? What else we got for She-Hulk before we wrap up?
I mean, I just think I think they did a relatively good job of setting us up for a finale. Yeah. Like I feel like we're at a like
we got a cliffhanger.
Yes, we got a cliffhanger. That you're actually like, I want to know where this goes.
I really did.
Like, so that was it was really cool to be able to see that and be like, you know, really have this, like, I want to watch next week's episode. Like, you know, more than just like, okay, I want to see what happens, you know, in this. But it's really, I want to. Like, I really want to. Like, I haven't really wanted to see an episode probably since they dropped the whole line about, you know, wanting her blood in like episode 3 or something like that.
That's very early on.
You know, so like
a month and a half ago.
You know, I really wanted to watch the next episode because I was like, okay, we're getting the ball rolling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I really want to know where they're going. Like, are they going to reveal who the Hulk King is? Are they going to stay a little bit more behind the lines? So it will be interesting to see how that ends up playing out.
Is she going to lose her, her
license?
Her license.
She could lose. I mean, that's technically
property damage,
assault. Like, there's a lot that can go into that.
Man, it's gonna get dicey.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's gonna get dicey.
I enjoyed the fourth wall break where she realized that the episode was different.
Yes.
So like we get done with that scene and everything, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are still here." Like
it was a very Ferris Bueller moment.
Correct.
Like at the very end where it's like, "What are you still doing here? You like go home."
Yeah.
But it was like, oh
yeah, we still got this gala to go to, or whatever it's called.
We're doing this now. Well, we got another set piece.
Feels like this should be for the finale.
Yeah. Like, so it was definitely set up like that. So that was really cool to see, like, her kind of understanding that. So I mean, it was interesting seeing that, and it's gonna be really just. By the way, did you see the Avengers musical billboard when they were on the rooftop? There was Avengers musical billboard in the background.
It wasn't Rogers the musical. It was a different musical.
It might have been just the Rogers musical.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
one from Hawkeye.
Oh, okay. It was. Okay.
Yeah.
That big yellow billboard.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sweet. Oh, it's still going.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. I think it's time to wrap it up, boys. It's been good, but I'm tired. We've done 3 podcasts tonight, and I think it's time for bed.
Yes.
In fact, next week will be the last week, hopefully for a long time, where we have 3 podcasts to do.
Hopefully.
Because She-Hulk has its finale next week. Rings of Power has its finale next week as well. And, of course, we're continuing our reviews and coverage on Andor. So please come back and watch those, listen to those. Thank you for tuning in tonight to this podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast version. We really appreciate you, and we hope you come back. With all that in mind, for my good friends Shamato and Apple Zax, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.